exactly.
You could just
screenshot, Photoshop an image that looks like, you've passed it, and just put that on your screen, and no one's going to know any better.
Yeah, that's right. So, I mean, we've obviously got concerns about how those tickets are going to be distributed. Obviously, any cup final comes up, whatever the attendance, there's always a massive great chunk of tickets that go to friends and sponsors and friends of the football family.
Yeah.
FA Cup, League Cup final, always the same. And obviously with the same in the Champions League final as well. Sponsors get a fair slice out of that as well. Yeah. So we will always take the view that as many tickets as possible should go to the real fans, i.e. the people who go week in, week out, home and away.
Yeah.
And they're the ones who should be getting access to those tickets. That doesn't appear to be the case, obviously. The government want to use this as some sort of publicity about we're opening up. Oh, isn't it nice? We can acknowledge our key workers as well and give them a bit of tribute. It's going to have global audience to watch, and there's clearly a political message coming out of that as well. So that I all understand. But at the moment, it's under 20 days away.
Yeah, exactly.
We've no idea how much a ticket is going to cost, even if we've got a sniff of getting one, how we get one. And then the circumstances surrounding that. How are we going to be able to visit the stadium?
Yeah.
Is it going to be sort of timed entrance? What's going to be available inside? I think people will be mandated to wear a mask in the ground, although there's talk about it not being socially distanced. So again, it's going back to this guinea pig lab rat situation. Thinking, my wife's only just come out of shielding, and we've already had a long conversation about if I were lucky enough to go, should I go? And it's a difficult decision for a lot of people to take.
Yeah, I think it is, yeah. I mean, for me to go to either Wembley or White Hart Lane, I have to go on, well, I could drive, but it's better to go by train normally. Yeah. And I've got to go across London. So that in itself, on the tube or whatever, is potentially a problem. And, just going on to the larger subject of fans going back to stadiums, when we do actually get to go back to league games, how are the club thinking about those possibilities? Are they actually considering, travel? Is there any safety aspects that they're trying to help fans with, or is it really outside of their remit and they don't particularly want to get?
No. The club is very concerned. With 2,000 fans for the two games, that really is not an onerous issue because the CPZ didn't operate, so people could drive to the stadium and find a parking space close to the ground.
Yeah.
At that time, although it would have been a challenge for some people, the rail service and the tubes were fairly quiet because people weren't working. The one thing that I do know the club have done is they have a temporary agreement with the local authority to use the goods yards for parking, which I think will accommodate 400 cars, something like that.
Okay.
No idea how that will be allocated, how much you'd have to pay for it, or how you could book it. But clearly the club are and continue to say, we are a public transport venue. We don't want people driving to the stadium.
Yep.
Although, with a small crowd, we could accommodate some people. As far as transport is concerned, I know that the trains on the White Hart Lane line are the brand new overground trains, so they're, it's just that continual access all the way through the train.
Yeah.
They would still quite clearly get busy if you had 10,000 fans there.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think there's, apart from maybe laying on more buses and bus pickups. Again, you've got the issue of getting on a bus with 50 people.
Yeah, exactly.
So, they're real challenges for fans to get back, whenever that may be. Talk about, the last home game of the season. And whether that would be with 10,000 fans, who remains to be seen.
Yeah, because 10,000 is still a lot to get to the stadium. It's all right once you're in the stadium, because that you can potentially spread out unless they want to put you in one of these guinea pig experiments. But to get to the stadium, it's because I think for a normal crowd of around about 60,000. I think at the 4 points, so you've got White Hart Lane, you've got Seven Sisters, Tottenham Hale, and Northumberland Park. I think they all split fairly evenly, don't they? In
They
terms of
tend
how
to,
people,
yeah,
it's about 15,000 each or something.
yeah, yeah. Bear in
Yeah,
mind, you've also got Meridian Water now.
Yeah.
yeah, true. Yeah,
Yeah, the Enfield Town one, which
yeah,
people haven't really got used to using. So if you're going northwards, a lot of the fast trains now would stop at Meridian Water, and that,
Yeah.
in fact, I think is closer than Tottenham Hale to walk.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, the options are there, but it's still getting people back into the habit of getting onto what would be a fairly crowded train,
yeah,
and getting over that initial nervousness of being in a crowd again.
Yeah. yeah.
That's the thing.
it's
I
good.
mean, I haven't been into the city to work for a year and over 2 weeks now. I haven't been on a train. I haven't been on a tube. I haven't been on a bus for a year. It's going to be a lot to get back into that, and people coughing, sneezing, and
Yeah.
it's going to take a long time for people to.
It's going to make people anxious.
Yeah.
It will. It will. I can remember how I was. I worked in Holborn, and I was in my office on the day of the London bombing, 7/7.
Oh,
Yeah.
And I heard the bomb go off on the bus. And that was the Thursday. Friday, I didn't go into work. Monday, I said, they're not going to beat me. I'm going into London. And I ended up getting on a bus and sitting on a bus, and there was this very strange smell on the bus. It smelled like plastic explosive. If you watch the movies, they reckon it smells like almonds. And all I could smell was this really overpowering smell of almonds sitting at the back of the bus, and I couldn't work out what it was. So as the bus, basically, it was in a traffic jam. Everybody was congested. People were getting off the bus. So as people got off, I got further and further back of the bus to see if I could see what the smell was. And it was an old tramp.
Eating a Bakewell tart.
but it's just indicative of how nervous I was that day. And just sort of, my mind was just playing tricks with me. And I'm sure it'll be exactly the same.
It was weird. It was weird afterwards.
It was horrible.
Yeah.
It was just an explosive tramp. Nothing to see here.
Yeah. Oh dear.
So
no, it's going to be a challenge, isn't it?
Yeah. So to cut a long story short, with the League Cup final, with the meeting the club have got tomorrow, I would expect something to be coming out of the club in 48 hours' time.
Okay.
We've made our pitch. All we can do is hope the club listen to what we have to say.
Yeah. No, definitely. Yeah, you're right. Okay. So, do you have any other points to make on the League Cup final, Pete, or is that really?
I'm not looking forward to it.
No, well, that's right. God.
But it's I sit back and think, the last 2008 and 1999 and the managers we had then, and just think, you're not going to cover yourself with glory even if we win this, mate.
Yeah.
You need to do more than this. But
I know.
Hey, it would be lovely to win a trophy.
Yeah. Well, we've beaten them already this season. Let's just think we can do it again. Yeah. Okay. So we do have some listener questions. This is from Kieran at 12kes12. He says, does Pete believe that Daniel Levy and his committee listen to the views of the trust? And also, can he provide proof or examples in where a decision has been made or reversed?
Yes, they do listen. Whether they do what we want, not always. One of the major successes, I think, is the pressure that we put on the club about the decision when they furloughed their staff, which we felt in the conditions at the time was completely the wrong decision to be making. Yeah. And to be fair to the club, they do reconsider their decision. Not only pressure from us, but a groundswell of public opinion.
Yeah, sure.
And they did change their mind. They have when they were looking at the pricing for the new stadium and the season ticket pricing for the new stadium, they did listen to our concerns. They introduced a young adult pricing for season tickets, which was new, thanks to the pressure that we put on them. They didn't provide all of the concessions in all of the areas that we would have liked, but they provided more concessions than they had originally planned to. They've been very helpful with a lot of people moving seats in the stadium.
Yeah, they have actually.
Very helpful. Their ticket office, although, you know, in the past waiting for the Circle of Doom, is horrible days.
But just their technology.
But they've always been very positive in issues that we've brought up with them, where people have had specific issues. They are always willing to listen, but we always come from two sides of the same coin. You know, we're all fans. Daniel and Donna and the rest of them, they're all Spurs fans. Yeah. The same as we are, but they're running a multi-million-pound business, and we are unpaid volunteers.
Yeah, exactly.
With specific skills, obviously. You know, we're not just mugs who turn up and think we know what's best for the club, nor do we have the arrogance to tell them what we think is the best for the club.
No, that's right. They've got obligations as board members to do what is right for the club, and the trust have your own remit, don't you? So you know,
we'll always be looking for cheaper tickets. We'll always be looking for concession. We'll always be looking from the fans' point of view to try to get the best deal for the fans.
Pete, did you ever suggest to Daniel about furloughing Jose?
It's too expensive to furlough, isn't it?
No, I didn't.
Imagine that, the government paying 80% of Jose's salary. Nuts. 80%, 15 million quid.
It'd be difficult to justify that, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so we had another question from Neil Carter at Coco Ginge. He said, just get away from all the turgid dross being served up on the pitch currently. Compete with his local community relations hat on. Enlighten us on the appearance of safe seating bars at the back of the south stand at all. I think that was a question you had, Jamie, as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. I saw the photographs as well. We're always a little bit reticent in being the first to break news. You know, that's down at the club to do, you know. I don't think we've ever been sworn to secrecy on what they're planning to do. We know that they increased the capacity during lockdown to, I can't remember the number off my head, 63,000 plus. And they are currently out offering new season tickets to people on the membership list.
I've noticed that, yeah.
But they've also installed some safe seating barriers at the top of the south stand. Couldn't tell you how many seats that would cover. I understand that people who are seated or who have season tickets in that area have been contacted to be asked if they are prepared to stay where they are or whether they would like to move, given the installation of the barriers.
Yeah.
But the club haven't officially announced anything yet, so it's really down at the club to say how many and what the arrangements are.
Yeah. But, It's funny you mentioned, Pete, about the capacity of the stadium, because the nature of the work I do, I look at planning applications. Well, I have to work with planning applications on a regular basis, and I just had a look at recent planning applications on the Spurs Stadium, and just in relation to one of the recent increases, there was an objection from a local, and one of the grounds for his disagreement for the increased capacity to take place was because the capacity would be higher than the Emirates.
It is already, though.
I know, you couldn't make out. He said something along the lines of, well, the capacity would be much higher than the Emirates. So, you know, that's a justification for not having an increased capacity.
What was the name? Was it Mr. M. Arteta?
Yeah. I've got a sneaking suspicion there was an objection in similar terms to one of the previous increases. So I reckon it's the same guy.
Probably
must be.
But did Arsenal increase their capacity as well during lockdown?
Oh, maybe they did.
I think they did. Yeah,
I think they did by a few hundred, didn't they?
But not many. Yeah,
a few hundred more empty seats. So when
exactly.
exactly.
Yeah.